Welcome to the No Manches Que Paso podcast, a podcast no one asked for about the unfiltered ups and downs of life from the perspective of two Latinas who got familias to manage,
real shit to deal with, and are just taking it one day at a time. Our chismes are your chismes,
porque why not?
Welcome back to No Manches Que Paso podcast with Karina
Karina,
and V.
Nessa.
Yes, Vanessa.
All right, let's get into our fit checks.
All right, well, I'm representing Selena.
I love it.
I got this a while back. And some new jeans that I bought from American Eagle. Love American Eagle jeans. And my Jordan 1s Elevate. Yeah.
Right.
I'm cozy because, it's freezing in here. We're still in the unfinished garage, but we're getting there. We're getting there. There's walls. There's partitions up.
There's partitions. We got a little bit of insulation.
Yeah.
Right now, we're at a standstill because we're waiting on the electrical inspection.
Yes.
So we're back in the studio.
Yeah. The last two episodes, we were in the other space, her Airbnb space. But yeah, we're back here. And tell me about your fit.
All right. So I am bringing in new Adidas. I have to give a shout out to Elena because these are her shoes. And I was just like, please let me wear them because I need some new shoes. But Michael bought these for her a few weeks ago.
Okay.
On a sale. He bought himself some shoes. He bought her some shoes.
Did he buy you?
He did not buy me some shoes.
That's so messed up.
Pero aquí estamos, and I'm wearing her shoes today.
All right, girl. They're cute.
Yeah, they're cute. They're comfy, too. I got the same jeans that I've worn in previous episodes.
Girl, nobody would have known. I wouldn't have known.
Okay, well. I got jeans. Pants. And I am wearing a new shirt. So I went to the Lucha show at Goodman Theater.
Yeah.
And it was an amazing show.
Dang, I wanted to go to that.
Yeah, they extended it because it was so good, like so popular.
Oh, wow. Okay.
They extended it like a week or two past when they said they were going to cut it off. Anyway, I went to the show. I got the shirt. So this is from the Lucha Teotl. Anyway, it was a great show. I got a shirt.
Awesome.
That's what I'm repping.
Love it.
I got my long sleeves because it's a little chilly.
Yes, it's chilly in here. But what do we got here? We got coffee.
Yes, I am wanting to shout out Portrait Coffee. We order from them a subscription, so it comes twice a month, every other week. It is
bougie.
I can't.
It's
a good coffee.
Okay.
I actually visited the store because they're based out of Atlanta. Mm-hmm. I visited the store a few months ago, and they come out with new designs on their packaging. They come out with new flavors.
Awesome. It's like a small business, or is it just?
Yes.
Okay. And you know what? Speaking of small business and businesses, I actually wanted to talk to you about entrepreneurship, and why did you get into wanting to own your own business? Because, some people start off in corporate America and then they figure out that this is not what they want to do. But for you didn't start in corporate America. You never worked in corporate America, right?
No.
So what made you want to take that route?
I think the only time I had like a job was when I was working in college and I was working in the admissions office. And then when I graduated, I started working with my father. And so I was working with him until he fired me.
Dang.
I know.
Savage.
So because my father is an entrepreneur, serial entrepreneur, that's the role model that I had.
Right.
For my life. I saw the life that he was creating for himself and his family, and I was like, I want this freedom.
Right. Okay.
And because I worked for him, I got all that background knowledge on like accounting, needing a lawyer, a banker. Like I saw everything. So I was like his personal assistant. He just told me what to do, and I did it. There was a point where I helped him start up a restaurant. And so I learned the computer system. I learned how to like input everything. I was the one that had to learn it to teach it
Oh,
to other people.
okay.
And it was a really fun time. Like, it was hard. I mean,
I
it's
mean,
not
owning a
easy.
business is tough. So
Yeah.
that's why I'm so curious, because you are doing so many different things, and you just never tried or wanted to be in corporate America. You just want to be your own boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what made you get into photography?
I think, I mean, Michael was doing photography before I met him. And
Okay.
so I would go with him on some photo sessions, and I would be holding the light. I'd be like carrying the bag. I'd be like doing all the behind the scenes. And I also took a photography class. And so I knew the basics, and I was like, let me just help you. Like, let me just like
Did you take a photography class in high school or college?
college.
Okay.
I took film photography. So I
Oh,
was like
film.
developing in the Lightroom. And so he actually bought me my first digital camera and taught me how to edit on the computer.
Ah, so he was the one.
Yeah.
Okay, he was the one that influenced you into
Yes.
getting into photography.
Yes. Because it was his like side project.
Uh-huh.
He's not going to like that I'm saying this. It was a hobby. Like, he wanted to be a photojournalist.
Okay.
But while he was wanting to do that, he was taking on like small jobs to pay for his equipment. And so I'm like, I have the business knowledge. When we get married, let's start our own business. Like, let's do this legit. And so it was my idea to get into wedding photography because I wanted to do it together. I had already photographed a few weddings with him as like the second shooter. And I was like, look, I got the woman perspective of all the details, all the things that matter. You got the photojournalism perspective. And this was like 15 years ago, before Pinterest, before
Before anything.
Instagram. And so we were really starting and building something new that was trending
Right.
or going to be starting to trend in the events and wedding industry.
Okay. And so, do you have any advice for those that are interested but are scared to get into a business? Because I mean, I feel like so many people think that it's easy. Like, oh, you just start and you do it. But there's so much that goes behind it. You have to, do your own taxes. You have to, just because you get paid for a project or a wedding, an event, and it's $5,000. Like, oh my God, you just made $5,000. Yes, but you have to pay like taxes on that. You have to pay, like business. You have to incorporate your business. You have to, you know, um, legal documents and all that stuff that goes into it. It's like the behind the scenes that people don't really they realize. And if you mess something up on your tax, like they're gonna come after you, IRS. So it can be scary, but also rewarding at the same time. So do you have any like advice for those that are thinking about it, or like should they just jump right into it, or kind of ease themselves into like maybe doing like side jobs here and there?
Well, I don't ever advise someone quitting their job to
Right.
then do something and start from scratch, because you need that financial stability
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
pour in. And like, when you own a small business, like, the stress in itself is already a lot. If you're putting the financial stress on yourself right off the bat, like, it's not it.
Yeah. And that just doesn't become fun,
Right.
because you're always stressing about money and how are you going to get this work, and instead of just thinking about your craft and perfecting it. And then once you start getting more people that are interested and you are doing more work, then you can kind of feel it out and see, is it worth me quitting my job and just kind of focusing more on my side job and making it full time?
Yes. And I think at the beginning, you need to learn. Like, you need to do a lot of
Absolutely.
learning. And there's so many free resources on how to legalize your business or do your taxes, or like even in your specific skill sets, there's so many free
I
resources.
did LegalZoom when I incorporated my business because I was just like, I didn't know where to go. And I didn't have the money to go to like an attorney or to, so that like LegalZoom made it extremely easy for me, and I was able to incorporate my business. However, I did start off just like like side jobs and just kind of building from there. But I also have a background in entrepreneurship. My parents, they were restaurant owners. My mom used to work at Allstate, and then she met my dad. And then they got into like the business, like store first, and then they went into the restaurant business, and they had like, a few restaurants while we were like younger. But I would see them working so much, right? So it's kind of like you want to have that balance. Owning a restaurant is hard work.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, it looks like, oh my God, it's glamorized, right? And people make it look like, oh, you're making so much money, but man, the work that you put into it, the sweat and the tears and having to manage other people and like train other people to do something, and then if they fuck up, that like looks badly on you, right? So I did have that, and I've always wanted to own my business, but I didn't know what I wanted to do. So when I went to college for post production editing, during that time, it was like really difficult when I graduated to get a job because that's when the recession started and most people were out of
Same.
work. So I went back to school to get my master's in teaching. And
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Look at
so,
you.
but the thing is, I like listened to everybody because they were like, oh, because when I was 18, I didn't know what I wanted to do. I
Yeah.
didn't. And I think like most kids when they're 18, if you don't have like if you don't want to be a nurse or a doctor or a lawyer, you're kind of like where am I going? What do I need? What am I good at? What do I want to do? So I was kind of like right there. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I just knew that I wanted to do something creative and be in a creative like field. And so I loved journalism. And because I did that in high school, I wrote for the newspaper at school. And so I went to Columbia for journalism. And then I quickly was like, you know what? I kind of like the production side of it. Maybe I'll do broadcast journalism, right? And then and then when I got in there, I was like, actually, I like to be behind the scenes, like filming. And so I kind of went into editing because I just fell in love with it. And when I got out of college, it's like they straight up told us you have to have thick skin to be in this field because you're going to be consistently criticized for, not criticized, critiqued for your work. When the producer, you may want to do something, but it's not your call. The producer has to let you know what they want you to do. So I was just like, I don't really have like free range, like to do what I want to do. And during that time, like, there was no work. And so that's when I went back to school for teaching because everybody, like my mom, my grandma, my aunts, who were like, you're so good with kids. Like, you should get into teaching. And of course, I was like, well, maybe I went into the wrong field. Maybe I was meant to be a teacher. But then when I got my master's, I started working for a really good school, which was like down the street from where I was living. And I went in there and I was a computer like assistant teacher, or it was more like a IT help desk. And At least I was in the door. I was getting in because it was hard to get a job as a teacher during that time. It was very competitive. And so I was like, well, maybe I'll just start here and I'll work. It's close to my house. My son was like 2 at the time. But then I like started seeing all these teachers. They were like miserable, just miserable, counting down the winters of how many winters they had until they retired. And I would just see them. They look just drained and just not happy. And I was like, man, do I really want that for myself? Like, I mean, teaching is hard, especially teaching kids that are not your own. And if they're not being raised correctly at home or being disciplined or whatnot, and then they come to the school and it's kind of like daycare. You have to, it was hard and it was a rude awakening for me. And I wasn't making that much money. And my husband at the time had just started his new job, and it was a pay cut. But because he was so happy with this company that he works with, that I was like, you know what? I gotta make money. I gotta like do something else. I was like, I miss editing. I miss being behind the camera. So I started like looking into, like you said, there's like tutorials and all this shit that you can, internet was like huge back then. And I mean, that's when it was like what, 2014, YouTube, people were learning how to do shit on YouTube. So I remember like seeing a wedding video, and I was like, from somebody that I've been following, I think I just came across the wedding video. I was like, wow, this is amazing, and I love it. I could do this. And so I reached out when I know I talked about this, but I reached out to a friend that was getting married. It just happened. Like from there, I did one video, and then I did my other friend's video, and then I was like, I did 14 or 16 weddings my first year, but I was also working at the school. So I was like juggling both jobs. And then I realized, you know what? I could do this full time. And I also want more kids, and I want to be able to stay at home and also not have to worry about daycare and money. And I was like, I could do this. I can work from home, do this on the weekends. And that's exactly why I did it, was so that I can be at home with my kids, but also doing what I love. So, but I also was in corporate America, and I knew like, some of the toxic work environments. And when I was working at the school, I just felt like it was so toxic, very cliquey. It's all women. You're working with all women in teaching. I mean,
Did you have any friends?
at the school,
Yeah, did you feel like you had someone to connect with? Or like how long were you in the school working?
3 years. So I was working there for 3 years, but I was also doing my side business for like a year and a half, so like half and half.
Okay.
And I did make some connections, but I don't think I was like my true self. Like I was not. It was not authentic, those relationships. I just feel like it was very. Some of them were just very fake, you know. Yeah. I mean, there was one really good connection that I made. This teacher that I love, and I still, we'll chat here and there on Facebook, but yeah, but nah, it was all really cliquey.
Do you think you made that decision out of fear, like to go back and get your master's? Was there a little bit of
Absolutely, because I was just like, I gotten laid off, or we were told we were going to be getting laid off at my company that I was working for.
as a journalist?
No, no, no. I was working for a Japanese company, totally unrelated to what I went to school for. Like totally unrelated.
Okay.
And I love the people that I was working with, but it was a little toxic. It was just,
Yeah. Well, if you know that there's going to be cuts and you're in that
right.
environment, like you don't feel safe coming into work. You don't feel happy. You don't feel like,
Exactly. And I could tell, like, I'm the type of person that I need to be challenged. I need something new. I can't do the same thing over and over again. I get bored. I want, like, the next, I want stimulation. I just want to, like, something that I'm going to be happy doing, right? And teaching was just not, I could not see that being my end all. Like, just,
yeah.
I was like, damn it, I wish I would have saved my money, but fuck, if I'm the type of person that like, if I'm just gonna go for it. Like, I'm gonna go for it because if I don't, I will never know.
Right.
So it's like, if I fail, it is what it is.
Which you didn't fail. I mean, you had to go through that in order to know that you didn't want to do that.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, money was, getting your master's is a shit ton of money. But it is what it is. Like, I'm just like,
You still have that knowledge that you can leverage.
right. I mean, I use it for my current role, which I absolutely love. I went back to corporate, right, after being a business owner and entrepreneur. And I still am an entrepreneur because I still have my side business as a real estate agent. And I also do like projects, filming, editing, all that stuff. So I'm still feeling that creative, like that cup. Like I still want to get the creative juices flowing, but I also love to be a part of something else, like account management is that's my shit right there. I love it. I'm also able to work from home, be with my kids. My the culture at my work is amazing. Like, I've never had that before. So I guess it's like corporate America can be good and bad depending on the company you work for, right?
Right. Yeah. And I still depend on corporate America because my husband has a 9 to 5
Yeah.
and works for a company. And that stability in finances, in
Yeah.
healthcare, is what allows me to stay home with the kids
Right.
and build my own thing. If it
Yeah.
wasn't for that, the pressure would be a lot more to
Absolutely.
have a job. And it's hard to make that decision.
Yeah. I mean, owning a business, it was hard, man. I was just like, because I said, like, my husband, he took a job, pay cut because, he wanted to be happy. He's been wanting to work for this company for so long that I was like, you know what? Go for it. Like, we'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. I'm that type of person that if you have to be happy, because I've seen it before. I've seen the teachers, and they're miserable. I mean, who wants to count down to retirement?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. Because then when you're retired, you're fucking old. And like, you don't, you're not the same when you were like 30, 40,
Yeah.
50. I feel like you just have to like live in the moment and just be appreciative of every single day. Not just like, okay, 6 more winters to go, 5 more winters to go. I'm all like, what kind of life is that? That is not for me. I want to be happy, and if that means like doing multiple things, then that's fine. That's fine with me.
I think for me, having multiple things keeps my, like, it helps me not to be bored in
Right.
my day to day.
Yes. Although it can be a little bit
But
overwhelming.
it is hard. I mean, because we do everything. We don't have a team.
No.
Like, especially when you're starting out, you are the accountant. You are
Yep. Yep.
the person. You are operations.
Yep.
You are the marketing person. You are the one who is doing all the things
Yeah.
outside and inside of the business, and it's hard. It takes. I think going back to you asking me what advice would I have is to get a mentor
Yeah.
and to have someone that you can that has been through it that you can say like, oh, can you help me with this? And that they're willing to help you.
Yeah. And you do that too.
I do.
Girl, talk about it. Like,
I do. I just launched this mentorship program after being in business for 13 years. I'm like, you know what? I have seen it all. I've done it all. And I want to be able to give back. There's a lot of programs that I have been through and I have gained from in all areas or all points in my business, and it's helped me leverage to get to the next step. And I'm just like, I'm ready to be that person for someone else. And so, yeah, we just did the beta run for the first 3 months. I am tweaking some things, and I'm going to start the next 3 months in the new year. And yeah, I'm excited.
I mean, that's amazing because I feel like when, like you said, when you're first starting, you have so many questions. Are you doing it right? Am I gonna fuck up? Like, especially when it comes to documents, legal
Jeez.
documents,
Yeah.
and taxes and all that shit. Like, that shit's scary. Like,
And I've been taken advantage of too.
you've been taken advantage by
Yes.
other like business people or by
Yes.
like what, tax?
Like an accountant.
Oh, see, yeah.
Yes. And
It
I had to go crawling back to my other old accountant, and I'm like, I'm sorry, please take me back. I made a mistake.
Girl, it's trial and error. And
Yeah.
and yeah, I fucked up too, in the beginning of my business, and I quickly found out, shit, like this can be a little bit pricey
Yeah.
if you fuck up, if you don't file your taxes on time.
Yeah.
Like that shit will come back and bite you. So I learned very early on. And my mentor, and he's still my mentor, is my dad, my stepdad. I consider him, we've been through so much younger, but I've learned to just like move on and just start over, start fresh. And he has been in real estate for more than 20 years. And he's my mentor. And with just entrepreneurship, business and just real estate, right? I go to him for anything, any questions that I have. So I'm fortunate to be able to have that mentor in my life. But some people don't have that. So that's amazing that you are able to offer that.
I got to where I am when I started my business because of my father, too.
Yeah. It all comes out to our parents.
Yeah.
Really. So I hope that my kids, my son, he's such a great artist. So I'm trying to like get him to, have his own business too later on and be able to draw and what makes him happy, right? Because
He's really good.
he's so creative. I mean, I think all my boys are. They're just, but I also wanted to show him like, yes, you can work for somebody else, but you can also work for yourself too. And I think that's like the best thing to give him is those like tips and tricks. And social media is huge right now, right? Especially for artists. They can, do digital art, printing like t-shirts of your art on, it's like, shit, I wish I had that back in the day, right? To be able to, like, marketing is just so easy to just kind of like start your shit and just TikToks,
Yeah. TikToks. Yeah. No, shout out to our parents. I mean, they truly are.
They paved the way for
Yeah,
us.
they're why we are where we're at.
Exactly. So, love you, Mom and Pops. You're my true heroes. Okay. Well, that's
All
a
right.
wrap.
That's a wrap. That was a good conversation. Like I said, mentorship program, be on the lookout. If there is a sponsor for this episode, it is me because I get my business a shout out. It's through Elevating La Cultura. It's called Showing Up Latina in Business.
Ooh, love it.
Yeah.
And shout out to this production, 41 Films. We do take a few projects a year.
But don't get crazy.
But do not let's not get crazy here. But yeah. So V out.
K out. My coffee is cold.